So, folks, I'm just going to preface this segment by saying that um, it involves child abuse. It involves religious motivation, um, religious delusion, and if those are difficult for anybody for whatever reason, totally understand. I'm just letting you know up front, we're going to be dealing with some heavy stuff. So, with that being said, it's time for us to talk about the Ruby Frank case. And we're going to start out by watching a quick clip here. It's from a channel called 8 Passengers. And the title of it is Kids Take Me to Jail. So this is from, about 4 years ago. So let's check that out.
He tracks me down in Idaho, okay? So we go to Subway together.
Only talk if you're asked to talk.
That was the most expensive popsicle I ever bought, and
You almost went to jail.
that was foul.
Eve, weren't you afraid of the police coming to our house earlier today?
Okay, I have to tell you guys about this really weird dream I had last night. So I'm reading Lord of the Rings in class. So I have a dream that we're at the house and I'm having a giant party and our garage has been turned into this like arcade vending machine place and like there's hundreds of people over. And then I find out that the orcs are after me. And so I turn into a hobbit and I have to take a ring to Mordor. And
Yeah,
Okay,
but
are we all holding hands?
yeah, but what if the police follows us and sees us?
I told the kids years ago when it became a big problem, I'm like, if you open those before mom pays for them, they will call the police. When Eve dropped the bag of popsicles and accidentally broke the seal and one popped out, she was like, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want them to call the police. It was kind of funny. Okay, so I will keep you guys updated as soon as we find out from the school if the kids got in. I think I will be heartbroken if we don't.
Russell!
Kevin and Chad are on a little boys trip.
No, neither! I'm supposed to take me too!
You are not old enough to go on the four-wheelers.
When I'm 12.
12 is a really good age to go
What
on those
about
kinds of
8?
trips. Or maybe 8.
8.
Did you just stinker? The windows. That was foul. Hands with an umbrella, huh?
2 umbrellas. Okay, hands off.
Eve, weren't you afraid of the police coming to our house earlier today because of the popsicles?
Go!
Okay.
You stole something. And you stole the money.
I stole the money?
We're playing.
Is this the
jail?
Is this the jail over here?
Yes! 9! You have to be in jail.
Do I get a phone call?
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
Nope. Well, you get a prize if you don't.
Can you loosen these? Officer, what did I do wrong?
You steal some money. If you never ever steal money ever again, that means you get a special prize.
And I get out of jail.
Now let's lock her up.
So, what you all are seeing is a video from the 8 Passengers channel, which is a momfluencer channel. Now, the woman, the mom in question is a woman by the name of Ruby Frank. And for 4 years, she documented raising, 8 children, eight passengers, or 6 children, I think. And she had a business partner named Jody. I think Jody Hildebrandt. And in that video, you see her raising her 6 kids. Yes, 6 kids. And it is deeply, vitally important for you to understand this case to know that she is devoutly Mormon. And essentially the two of them, Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt, were found guilty of aggravated child abuse because the children in these videos were actively being abused by the both of them. Specifically because Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt believed that the children at different times were becoming possessed by the devil, by demons. The two of them were arrested after Frank's 12-year-old son escaped from a window of Hildebrandt's home and showed up at the neighbor's house asking for food and water because he was so malnourished. He was able to escape from a window. He had duct tape wounds on his wrists and ankles because he had been physically restrained within their homes. And the same treatment was also found on a 10-year-old daughter. Yeah, there is the neighbor called 911 immediately, and it is deeply, deeply disturbing. Is that their excuse? Yeah, no, I don't even think it's an excuse. The scariest part is that I think they genuinely believed that their torture was helping their kids. That the two of them combining their torturing abilities was actively fighting the devil. So the good news is both Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt have been found guilty. And yeah, it's going to be hard to talk about. But essentially, from the videos that were on the 8 Passengers YouTube channel, viewers had already been accusing the family, the mom in particular, Ruby Frank, of abusing those children, because of her predilection for withholding food as a punishment. Essentially, she would starve her kids for misbehaving. Yeah. it's all complicated by the fact that these children are like all became like, you know, sort of famous from doing this, being raised by this momfluencer. And frankly, I think we should outlaw parents turning their children into spectacle like this. It's really disgusting. But one of these kids revealed in 2020, Chad, that his bedroom had been taken away for playing pranks for the last 7 months. He had been denied the ability to sleep in a bed for 7 months because he was playing pranks on one of his siblings. There were clips on the channel of Ruby Frank ordering her children to wait in line to eat a single banana. And she like reveled in the ability to force these children to be compliant by having them hungry. Yeah. There's also a lot more awful stuff here. We're gonna take a look at this ABC local news.
Jail phone calls between Ruby Franke and her now estranged husband, and this includes the mother of 6 comparing herself and Hildebrandt to the first Latter-day Saint prophet, Joseph Smith.
The most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Like my own family misunderstands me, they misinterpret me, and poor Jody, they misinterpret her, they misunderstand her. She puts her
This is after she's been arrested for abusing their children.
neck out on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what? Every Joseph Smith, every wonderful man of God has had to be misunderstood.
Yeah. It's a lot.
We begin with
Nope. Okay. And yeah. As time went on, Frank continued to reference religion, God, and the devil, but her stance on Hildebrandt changed. No longer was Frank saying Hildebrandt was misunderstood by December. Frank said Hildebrandt was mentally ill. Each of the released recordings has been summarized below. Call from August 31st, 2023. Children can be full of evil. You know my heart, Frank told the man on the other end. He asked what she was being charged with, and she said she was facing 2 charges of second-degree felony child abuse. I think I was prepared for this, Frank said. I do feel strong. I do feel calm. Frank said she received a prompting to read Viktor Frankl and recited a passage about not knowing the end. Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it. She literally continually talks about how her children were literally possessed by evil. And so she was justified. That she literally thought for months, probably still thinks to some degree she was justified. This is a witch hunt, Frank said. The devil's been after me for years. God told me I'm done, Frank said. Satan has taken everything away from me that I love, and I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things, says woman in jail for child abuse. She said she keeps thinking about an address given by the current president of the Church of Latter-day Saints about myopic thinking. Frank said through tears that she was using this time to change and repent and let the Lord know that she loves him. Uh-huh. Again, I just there's no words for this type of stuff. Let's see here. Here's the last one. I think putting the pieces together and just like she knew she was lying the whole time, Frank said. Recording from December 28th, 2023, that was released by officials is nearly 20 minutes long. Frank is speaking with a woman who asks at the beginning of the call if Frank saw that Hildebrandt had pled guilty. Frank said that she did hear the news. The woman then asked if that was a relief, and Frank said, yeah, it's a big relief. Frank said if Hildebrandt hadn't pled guilty, she could have been convicted for life because of how much evidence there was. The woman asks about how probation and sentencing would work and asks Frank if she and Hildebrandt would face the same amount of time. Frank tells the woman she doesn't have a criminal history or a mental health history. I'm also hiring a professional to do a mental health evaluation just to say she's good. Like, there's no mental health problems at all, Frank said to the woman on the other end, which I highly doubt that, but okay. Frank said Hildebrandt would probably lie on some of her paperwork. I don't think she's given them her history. I think in the interview, it's going to be apparent that she's mentally ill. Frank also said she didn't think Hildebrandt would take responsibility for what she did and said Hildebrandt only pled guilty because she didn't want to do life. God.
Come on up, please.
Here's the interview afterwards.
What's that? Downstairs in the interview room. So I could have gone that way, but appreciate you opening the door. We'll take these stairs right here.
Yeah, she drank the Kool-Aid hard.
All right. And we'll right down this hall. This next one, right here. Right here. And we'll go ahead and I can remove those trucks right here. Go to down and remove them. This way, yeah. Okay, go ahead and have a seat.
Mothra Alita, yeah, basically she thought the devil was possessing her children.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you come sit on this side for me. Thank you. Was this your water? I'm gonna.
It's yours if you want it. We'll say that. How's that?
We also have snacks if you need anything to eat. So I know I introduced myself to you earlier, but my name is Detective Bates, and this is Sergeant Tobler. We're just here to talk to you about kind of a few things involving your kids. So first, do you live down here, or?
He deserves a better mom is what he deserves.
Or do you live up north? Do you want to talk to me about where you live or how many kids you have? So we just spoke with your husband, and he said you guys have 6 kids. Are those all together? Are those all your kids? I can wait all day, so it's up to you if you want to talk to us about what's going on. Would you feel more comfortable talking to one of us?
Or do you want me to I can step out if you want?
Or if you feel more comfortable talking to him, I can step out?
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
Okay. So you don't want to talk to us at all?
Honestly, you shut the fuck up until you have a lawyer.
Do you want to answer that? Or you don't want to talk to us about anything?
I think Noctab, I think she has to literally say, I want to talk to my lawyer.
Your side of the story. So it's your chance to do that. But it's up to you. We're just here to talk. And I mean, I'm not asking any criminal questions. If you don't want to talk to us, just let us know and we'll be done.
I've already told you.
That you want a lawyer? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Easy enough.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can get for you in the meantime? I got the water. Do you need a bathroom break or anything like that? No? Okay. Good.
Hey Jody, how are you? So I know I introduced myself when we were out there, but again, my name is Detective Bates, and this is Sergeant Tobler.
I'm trying to get you in the paper. Can you just sit in the seat for me? It's all about camera angles. If you sit in that one, that'd be great.
Can I get you any water, snacks? You doing alright?
Can be expected. How long you lived here in Islands? 11 minutes?
6 years.
6 years. The same house? Wow. You married? Single?
Where'd you move from?
Yes, I can.
And how long were you up there for?
I'm a little nervous.
You're that. You know, to be honest with you, if I was sitting over there, I'd be a little nervous too. So don't worry about it. We're just here to talk, to get your side. And right now, we're just asking you just typical questions, like how long you lived here, that kind of thing.
This is Jody, just as an
Watch
FYI.
detective movies.
How are you?
Which one's your favorite?
Me too. You can't, honestly, I sit there and I'm married and I sit there and watch those with my wife and I say, like, we don't, that's not how we do it. Hey, that's not right. So don't take, there's some good ones out there, don't get me wrong. But most of them are probably a little off base. We're not as mean. I won't get up and beat you up. We don't do that.
Oh yeah, the amount of info that they have released on this case, Ronwid, is a lot. We're gonna get into some of the diary entries. Because I'm seeing some people in chat like call bullshit on, but like no, I assure you guys, both these women were extremely deluded by like religious fervor into believing their abuse was justified and godly.
We just want to get to know you a little, so if you just kind of want to share a little about yourself and what brought you down here? And
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when we talk.
They literally, like, this woman literally doesn't think she's done anything wrong. Like, she doesn't, she's so firm in her convictions that she's literally in an interview room and being like, nah, I don't think I've done anything wrong, but I gotta talk to my attorney.
So you guys seem nice people.
yeah,
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm trying to be difficult. This is really, if you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy for what's going on.
That's really what we're.
that's what we're looking for. And you're an adult, and the thing about our interview, if we ask you any questions that you don't want to answer, you can just tell us, I don't want to answer that question. But we do want to have a basis and an understanding of what's going on in that home, or what went on up north that brought them into your home. And so if you want to share any of that and you don't want to answer any other questions, that's okay.
I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're gonna flip my words. I don't know.
And that's the good thing about cameras. Everything, it's pretty much double recorded, audio, video, and it's for the safety of for you and for us, because we don't want to flip your words. And this will all be pretty much right there to support you. So we're not going to use anything against you.
Why would my attorney be so insistent then? He's an honest, good man, goes to church.
Why would my attorney tell me not to talk to the cops? I don't understand.
I trust him. Why would he say that to me then?
I don't know your attorney, to be honest.
Well, I'm just saying he's
He's
a good, honest man.
Yeah,
And I'm an honest person as well, so we get along great. And he just said, do not say anything.
Maybe just as an attorney,
They always say that.
they always want to be with their client. I'm not sure, but like I said, at any time, if you don't want to answer a question, you don't have to. So the ball's really in your court on what you do want to answer and what you don't. So,
Well, I think
See, notice how they continue to, like, cajole her to try and, like, get her to keep talking? Because they know that if they talk past this kind of implication that, you know, she wants her lawyer, they can ignore the implication. But if she says, I want my lawyer, I want to talk to my lawyer, they have to respect that.
it looks bad that I don't want to answer anything, but it's not because I'm trying to be difficult. I'm really hanging on what he told me to do.
Yeah, who's your attorney?
Adam,
Who is this person in relation to everything? This is the friend of Ruby Frank, Jody Hildebrandt. So this is, they were both arrested together, and they both are guilty of abusing the children extensively.
Adam, his father's an attorney, his brother's an attorney.
Is he local?
Yeah,
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
he's on the street where the town hall is.
Well,
They all have the same name.
the whole reason we're sitting here today is there's a lot of questions we have that we just maybe misunderstandings that we just need to clarify. And
I know, and I'd love to tell you if you were here, because I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen with what I say. You know, I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time, so I get it. I sit on your side. I get it.
Psychologist.
I wish people didn't do that, but they do.
well, if you're not willing to answer any of the questions about yourself, would you be willing to answer any questions maybe about Ruby or Kevin that you could help us understand? We just honestly want to understand what their dynamic is, what happened to the children, what caused their separation.
Right.
And after talking to Kevin, it sounds like you know a lot about their dynamic and their relationship. So if you could help us understand that at the least, that would be awesome. And that's nothing incriminating towards yourself because it's not pertaining to you. So if you could help us understand that.
I'm
Jody, we're going to do this. You asked for your attorney, and we'll leave it at that. We'd like to maybe talk to you later when you have your attorney here present,
Absolutely.
and we'll
He
go
made
down
an
there. Okay.
appointment at 4 on
He made
Friday
an appointment
here.
with here at 4.
He talked to the officer
Okay.
and said, "Can we make a time?" And he said out loud, "Do not talk to them."
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk and see if we can schedule that, and maybe that's just something we just do with your attorney. Okay. Do you have any questions for us? I can answer in the meantime.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Appreciate your time. We'll hang out here, and we'll come back and get you, and we'll be on our way. Okay.
Yeah. Also, it's deeply disgusting to put a pop-up for like subscribe to our true crime newsletter here on your website about this story. Jesus Christ. So Ruby Frank kept a diary, and that diary was released by the authorities, and I don't recommend that you guys read it. It focuses intensely on the abuse towards her two youngest children, that included denying them food for days at a time, hitting them, and forcing them to spend hours outside in the hot sun. So, here we go. The diary entries are dated from July 9th to August 27th, 2023, 3 days before she was arrested after her son escaped the home and went to a neighbor's home, who then called the police after seeing what he described as the boy's emaciated body. In her diary, Frank says she shaved her daughter's head on several occasions in response to her crying and screaming. The girl, identified as E in a redacted version of the diary, was denied food for 3 days at one point due to Frank's claim that her daughter was being manipulative. She starved her youngest daughter for 3 days. For manipulation? Like, what? This is insane. In response to not being allowed food for a 3rd day, E began chanting, according to Frank. Quote, "My mom starves me, calls it fasting," the girl said, according to the diary. "My mom won't lift 2 fingers and bring me food because all she does is lie on the bed and eat brownies." Frank would also deny our food. Again, they're not using their names because they're children. At one point, writing in her diary that she told her son, "I will not feed a demon." The children were doused with water, made to stay outside, and forced to do labor such as moving boxes. During this period, Frank seems to have a deeply held belief that her children were controlled by the devil and that she was teaching them how to repent. At one point, looking into the face of her son, identified as R, and yelling, "Get out now, go." She was trying to send the demons out of him. What's wrong with people? This is what religious fundamentalism can do, you know? When you're told your entire life that there are demons around, that they are out to get you, that they are there to destroy your life, to test you, and you believe you're the main character, and you're being told by everyone you know that, like, your particular brand of religious belief, regardless of what it is truer than anything else you could possibly know. It's truer than your eyes, what your eyes tell you. It's truer than what your ears tell you. It's truer than anything. you are then freed in a sense to do horrendous acts of evil while justifying it as being in the name of like a deity, you know? And like it's possible to have religious belief obviously and not go to this depth with it, go to this extreme with it, but yeah, like this is where religious fundamentalism leads you. You know, it's the same type of like religious fundamentalist belief like that I had when I was like a small child. And I was like, "Oh yeah, literally any day the world is going to end. I'm going to hear the trumpets of the Lord and the world is going to end. And that's going to be such a great day." You know? And like it's just that this woman reached that point about abusing her children. Before his escape in August, R previously tried to run away in July on a night when he was forced to sleep outside on the patio. He left a message for his mother, and Hildebrandt scrawled out of pebbles that read, "Jail will call when I get there." The 12-year-old was found by Frank later that night. Previously, Frank had written that R had told her he belonged in jail, which she dismissed, writing that he only wanted the air-conditioned car ride to juvie. And I can't stress this enough. That child, that 12-year-old child, believed that he was so evil he needed to go to jail. That he had been punished so often and so cruelly that he deserved, on virtue of his, perception of himself as evil, that he deserved to go to jail. He wasn't trying to escape. He wasn't trying to escape to bring his mom to justice. He escaped so that he could essentially give himself over to the police. Remember that clip we started this segment with? Where she laughed to the camera about telling her kids that they would be taken to jail if they opened a can of soda at the supermarket. Imagine if you heard that about everything you did on a day-to-day basis. He was brainwashed into believing he deserved to go to jail for being a bad kid. And when confronted with that information, she instead of like reflecting on any of her actions, reflecting on any of that, she blamed him for she said that he wanted an air-conditioned ride. Oh, he just wanted the air conditioning. I have no words here. And Jody and Ruby both like co-hosted a podcast together for parenting. The 8 Passengers YouTube channel had millions of subscribers. People looked up to this woman for how to parent their kids. And just like how you can exist as like a mother. Yeah, millions. This was a huge YouTube channel. I believe it's deleted now. You can still find some of the old videos elsewhere, but like maybe viewed by millions of people, but still, like, god damn. No, actually millions of subscribers. Yeah, it was very, very big. Other incidents chronicled by Frank included that she brought her children to a Native American cemetery and had them pick weeds and pick up broken glass before a woman told them they were trespassing and had to leave. Frank also mentioned a time when she kicked R while wearing boots after he acted out. I just... All of Ruby's family, her siblings and parents are still influencers. Yeah, it's weird. Like, some of her older kids have, like, prominent social media presences now. Her sisters have, and her parents have social media account. Like, it is the commodification of her family is very bizarre. When R escaped to the neighbor's house, he asked the man who answered the door to take him to a police station and said what had happened was his fault. So on his second, he repeatedly attempted to escape, not to incriminate his mom, but because he thought he was evil. And that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart so into so many pieces. When police searched Hildebrandt's home and found E in a closet, the girl was petrified and spent nearly 4 hours sitting on the floor before first responders were finally able to coax her out. Because she had also grown up thinking that, you know, if she was naughty, the police would come and take her away. I just... And like, it gets so much worse. It gets so much worse. Neighbors have been claiming that they were trying to get authorities involved for months, asking for officers to do wellness checks on the children. Her older children called the police to like do wellness checks on the on her siblings. Like, they tried so hard. One of the neighbors reported to the police that Frank was leaving her children alone for days at a time. And I don't know if you know this, but it is illegal to leave children unattended, you know? And this is a quote from one of the neighbors. "I'm really angry because I spoke up. Other people spoke up. If people knew the amount of tears and time spent talking with law enforcement and CPS over the last year, I want people to understand that. And I want those kids to know that because I think they thought they were abandoned." And for their part, the police said that they did show up at the Franks' home to investigate, but their attempts to investigate were hampered by the fact that the kids had been taught and conditioned not to answer the door when police show up. Because that's when you have abusive parents and they know that they're abusing you and how it's going to look to everyone else, they teach you and they beat it into you not to answer the door if it looks like police or CPS. And of course, like the just excuse after excuse from Ruby Frank herself. She in a video conference from her Utah jail to determine custody of the 4 children who are still minors. Frank accused one of them of abusing 20 other children, like sexually. No evidence whatsoever, by the way. Just like instead of taking advice, taking responsibility for her actions, she literally tried to like blame one of her own kids. Is Frank the husband? No, it's their last name. Ruby Frank is her name. And as for Jody Hildebrandt, one of her nieces came forward and accused her of, quote, severe emotional, spiritual, and psychological abuse, saying that her aunt had called her a sex/porn addict addicted to masturbation, and as part of the therapy that Jody administered to her, she forbid her niece, or Jody forbid her niece from using tampons or being able to use the bathroom without an escort. The niece is non-binary? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Non-binary nibbling. And this is a quote from the nibbling. "She wanted to make my life so uncomfortable that it would force sin out. This continuously got worse and worse." This is from Jesse, who said Hildebrandt would duct tape their mouth, blindfold them while telling them they were too dangerous to be around other people, resulting in isolation periods of up to 12 hours a day. Jesse said they internalized their aunt's teachings to the point that they became afraid of themselves. "I was forced to sleep outside in the snow," they recalled. "If someone spoke to me directly, if I wasn't wearing duct tape on my mouth, I just had to stare at them and not respond." Yeah. In her plea agreement, and this is another important element of the abuse, Ruby Frank admitted to smothering her son underwater. She waterboarded her son. She bound her son's feet with handcuffs, kicking him while wearing boots, holding his head underwater while smothering his mouth and nose. Yeah. Frank had attempted to persuade her son that he was evil and possessed and could avoid punishment by obeying her, evidently telling him the abuses she inflicted upon him were acts of love according to the agreement. And the scary part is, I think she genuinely believed that. That's the scary part. I think she genuinely believed all of this. Frank admitted to committing similar abuses against her 9-year-old daughter, forcing her to run barefoot on the dirt roads and perform manual labor outdoors without adequate food and water. Yeah. They were both sentenced for up to 30 years in prison, so... In redacted diary entries, Frank repeatedly wrote that her young son and daughter, referred to as R&E, were the spawns of Satan. "I will not feed a demon," she wrote. She called her son a compulsive liar with a cold, dead heart. She wrote about shaving his head as a punishment for refusing to perform wall sits and pushing him into a pool while covering his nose and mouth. "Big day for evil," she wrote at the time. She also detailed making her daughter stand in the rain for hours, dousing her in dog wash water, and I don't want to know what that means. After her daughter complained about not eating for days, which Frank rationalizes her punishments as ways to break the children's purported ties with the devil. Quote, "If you engage a weak-minded soul in a physical activity of obedience," she wrote, "you can begin to break the bond Satan made with the weak." Again, the weak being her children. It's a lot. Didn't she birth them? Yep. But she believed that they were possessed by the devil. And this is the danger of religious extremism, folks. And it is the same motivating force that is currently taking hold of the Republican Party in this country. To bring this back around to a wider thing, the same religious fundamentalism. Did the therapist get? Yeah, the therapist also got 30 years in prison, up to 30 years in prison, depending on whether or not they get released early. But this is the same religious fervor that's taking hold of one of the major political parties in our country. The Republicans are using the same language. And I find we should all find that disturbing. And honestly, if you're a Republican right now, you should find that disturbing. And if you can't bring yourself to vote for Biden if you're a Republican, I understand. But please consider staying home. Because, this is currently what you're wrapped up in. You're wrapped up in this type of radicalization, and you might not even know it. Here's Lance Wallnau. He does a conservative podcast. Let's listen to what he has to say here. It's 1 minute long.
You see, the left is loaded with demons. And those demons project on everyone else what they secretly are all about. I don't think it's people anymore. I think you're dealing with demons talking through people. You look at those old speeches at Nuremberg, or you look at those Hitler rallies, and what you see is that Satan, by the spirit of Antichrist, is it's like what does it say? It's a mouth that speaks great and swelling words. So you're going to see. Just remember this, Christian, that you're going to listen to demons talking through people in order to create an incendiary landscape.
This, like, when I think, especially if you're non-religious, I think it can be really hard to understand that when he says that, left-leaning individuals, liberals, are demons, that he doesn't consider them people, that they're demons. He means it. They mean it, chat. And I don't know how to make it any more clear to you that these people genuinely believe what they're saying. The Christian nationalist wing of the Republican Party that is growing every day and consuming the other parts of the Republican Party means it. To them, it's not just like, oh, funny demon with like a pokey trident, haha, goat hooves, haha, cute, acts of mischief and evil, haha. Like, no, they genuinely believe that you specifically are possessed by the devil. They genuinely believe that. And if they had their way, they would be waterboarding you. They would be denying you food. They would be abusing you in every conceivable way in order to force the devil out. That was just a buzzword salad. And that's the thing. It was just a buzzword salad. But it's a buzzword salad that they believe fervently. And in that belief, they're going to make some kind of sense out of it to justify their actions, their cruelty, their malice. They believe they are fighting a spiritual war. Exactly, Mr. Miyagi. And they intend to win that war by whatever means necessary, including if it means, like, taking you out, harming you. And I struggle to figure out how to make that really click for folks, because I think for a lot of people it's just a fairy tale. It's like a Disney movie. Oh, haha, I saw the Prince of Egypt, haha. But like, to these people, it's real. The threat of eternal damnation is real. And they're willing to do anything, up to and including killing you. Because again, in a lot of their justification and a lot of their thinking, even if you die, well, that's just a gift to you. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was a hard segment to go over. But I really hope that her kids Ruby Frank's kids are able to find some measure of solace in the fact that they are safe from their mom. It might it's going to take years of therapy, I'm sure. Might take them a long time to realize that this was a good thing, because again, from their perspective, they were completely brainwashed, you know. They thought they were the ones who deserved to go to jail. So I hope they heal from this, and I wish the best for them. Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And after that, we're going to do some Gaza updates, which won't be fun, but I feel like they're important to talk about. And I feel like, additionally, the U.S. position is continuing to shift in a positive direction, so keep a little bit of hope alive.